In this week's episode, I am going to show you how we built this really cool wall paneling slash TV unit. And you really want to stick around until the end of this video because we've got a really cool announcement that you do not want to miss. So in this week's episode we are going to build a really cool wall panel slash TV unit. This is a first for us, and we actually built a previous TV unit before. That unit almost got 1 million views. I'm going to share a link now if you want to go and check it out. So this project is a first for us, and it's not really that complicated project. And I'm going to show you all our methods and techniques we took in achieving a successful project for our client. And as you can see, we started here with a superwood MDF sheet, which is basically going to be the backing of our project. As you can see, that guy there on the left, that's our landlord. He just pops in every day, just checking in if everything's okay. He's a really cool guy. His name's Francois. Absolutely love him as a landlord. And as you can see, these strips is basically a backing we put on the back of our MDF sheet because the electrician actually needs space to do his wiring, and you will see in the steps to follow why exactly we are doing this. Now moving to the next step, taking out my Festool track saw, I am just going to cut my MDF paneling to its final size. Now it's basically already to its final size. I just needed to cut off a few millimeters just as per the client's specification. Now just transferring the exact same measurement to the other side, and remember we are building 2 of these panels as you saw in the preview, so we are basically replicating all these steps 2 times. Something I just want to point out which is super impressive is the dust extracting system from Festool. As you can see, there's absolutely no dust while I'm cutting this MDF superwood sheet. And moving to the next step, we are just going to give our sides of our MDF sheet just a small sand, just to make sure we got a smooth surface once we're going to move on to the painting process of this video. Just using a normal 120 grit sandpaper, and that's going to do the job perfectly. Moving to my Capex miter saw, I am going to cut all my oak beams to size, and behind the scenes what you can't actually see is that we actually do have a drawing we work according to, and we know exactly how many rustic oak slats we need to cut. And what I'm basically doing now is just measuring all my longer pieces I need to cut. I think there was about, I really can't remember how many. But what I'm trying to say is we do have a drawing we work to. We're just not randomly cutting all our oak slats to size. And one thing I also do want to mention is you can actually build this project on a budget. We are using oak, which is an expensive wood species, but you know, if you want to do this on a budget, you can use pine with a really fancy varnish or oil, and it's going to give you a similar look, but oak will give you that really exclusive furniture look. That's why we went with oak. and we basically charge our client for oak, but like I said, you can use pine to make this a affordable project. Moving to the next step, now we are just basically drilling at the bottom of our oak slats a 20mm hole, and that's for our LED lights to fit in at the bottom. And you'll see we just put a small masking tape just to make sure that we don't drill too deep, and to make sure that we actually drill all the holes the same depth. And as you can see in this step, I am just marking on my oak slat because we actually have to drill at the back of the slat another hole where our wire actually needs to go through our MDF sheet at the back side through our oak slat, so that the electrician can actually wire this whole contraption. Just making sure that my light is actually going in really deep, so that the light fitting is not sticking out at the bottom. So moving to the next step, which was a really challenging part of this project, and a few points I want to share with you if you guys want to replicate this project, is to make sure that the spacings in between your slats is actually going to work out according to plan. We actually took more or less half a day to get this recipe right, and at the end of the day, the spacings in between the slats is not going to be the same. It might be accurate according to drawing, but if you're going to build this, you will see that you are not going to sit with the same spacings in between all the slats, meaning that we ended up using between 5 to 6 to 7mm spacings in between all our slats to make sure that all your slats actually fits into this whole MDF sheet, because our oak slats is actually 40 by 40mm. And what I'm basically doing here is just marking exactly where I need to cut for my electrical lights through my MDF sheet, and I'm just going to repeat this process straight through my whole MDF sheet. And the tip I want to give you is actually to make markings as you go forward with your project, because believe me, these oak slats move as you progress to the next markings. So this is the part of the video where I want to ask you if you guys think I deserve it. I want to really ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video. And another thing I want to ask you is something I always think about is, where in the world are you watching from? I am really interested to see exactly where you are watching from. So leave me a comment down below. I would really like to interact with you, and just say hi, you're from Slovakia or Botswana or Turkey or wherever you're from. I would really appreciate that. Moving to the next step is to give our MDF sheet a coat of spray paint, and the client specifically went with a charcoal color. And remember, this MDF sheet we did give a coat of wood primer, and then we're going to paint it 3 to 4 coats of the charcoal color the client went for. And if you agree with me, I think I'm paying my workers more than I should, because you can see there at the background little Sultan rubbing his tummy and standing around. I absolutely do have to revise their payment. Absolutely love it. Thanks, Sultan. I'll have a meeting with you on Monday. And remember, guys, if it's your first time here, we are not only building wall panels, we are actually a full packed YouTube channel doing a lot of content such as epoxy tables, normal tables, live edge tables, bedside tables, whatsoever. We have so many DIY projects we are taking on. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future content we are posting. Moving to the next step, I am absolutely not going to oil these oak beams individually. That's why I got out my spray gun, and we throw in the varnish into the spray gun and we sprayed all these beams, and this made the project go super fast. I really can't think that you will oil each single beam individually, because you're going to take like 5 to 400 days to oil the beams. Moving to the next step in our project, and that's applying our oak beams onto our MDF sheet. And as you can see, I'm just applying a thin layer of wood glue, and you need to make sure that you work very carefully on this painted surface, because you don't want to scratch this surface. And I honestly don't know if that wood glue is going to make any difference on a painted MDF surface, but we done it anyway. So this was the fun part of this project, repeating the same process over and over, taking this MDF sheet on top and at the bottom, on top and at the bottom, with each beam we applied to our sheet. And this was an ancient method, my own method, making sure I don't shoot the nails in between the two beams and making sure I shoot the nail actually into the beam. I just use this ancient method and making sure I shoot the nails right into the beam the right way. And as you can see, the recipe we used is we are using a long slat, then a short slat, a long slat, then a short slat, a long slat, and then a short slat. All the short slats has lights in, and the long slats actually don't have lights in. So this is the method we used in applying the long slats on our MDF sheet. And it was at this moment that I realized that my longest pony clamp is too short, and you can see I'm pretty confused at this moment. And that's when I realized I can actually take the end of my pony clamp off, and that's when my cockroach in my head started working, because I hadn't have long enough clamps to clamp my wooden slats together to make sure the spacings is actually correct. But I left it, and the cockroach still worked until I realized something later on this video to follow. And this is the part of my project where I thought to myself, I'm going to figure this out, because there has to be a logic sense behind the pony clamps, why this piece can take off at the end. And as you can see, I am actually playing around with the whole system, and nope, that's not gonna work. And turning the clamps around, and these pony clamps actually interlocks into each other, making your longest clamp twice as long as it was before, which made this project an absolute ease to work with. So these holes I'm basically drilling here is just for the electrician, so you can actually wire this whole contraption and making sure all the lights work, making sure you can push the light through in the front side straight through to the back, and making sure he has enough sufficient space to do all his wiring. And I know on my previous wall unit video, which got almost 1 million views, I'm going to leave a link now if you want to go and check it out. The most received question is, how do you fasten this unit to the wall? And I am using this Fisher plugs, and I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to fasten this unit to our wall. Now, I'm obviously not going to apply my camera into the client's house, so this is just a basic instruction. It's basically woodworking 101. It is so easy fastening this unit to your wall, and you will see I'm drilling a hole straight through my panel, and I'm going to give it a small countersink. And then making sure my screw actually fits perfectly into the hole I just drilled. So guys, this is going to be all for this week's episode. Enjoy the final video. Before you head out, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and comment down below, what do you guys think of this wall panel? Is this something you will take on? And yes, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next week with another super cool video. Cheers. Welcome to this online epoxy masterclass. Moisture content. You hit right into the core wood species to remove the bark with an aggressive steel wire brush. Table design, slab preparation, building process, epoxy mold. Release agent wax, calculate epoxy. 7, 8, so we got 16 points. Mixing epoxy, color consistency. Whether to seal your live edges or not. Pouring epoxy. Sanding between layers, sanding grooves inside your epoxy, dealing with bubbles. Maximum depth, curing time, removing the table from your mold. Our local CNC supplier. Start sanding, cutting your table to size and edges. Filling the cracks and holes. Smoky finish, high gloss see-through finish. Wood surface finishing, tabletop supports. To drill into our wooden section. Our online epoxy masterclass is finally here. It's 4 hours of masterclass where I'm going into detail on how we build all our epoxy tables. Where I'm going to teach you from start to finish how to build a epoxy table successfully. I'm going to show you all our methods and techniques we take in our everyday business building epoxy tables successfully. Down in the description of this video, you're going to find the details on how to purchase this masterclass. You don't want to miss this one.